Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this exclusive video series on Adaptable HR. The future is now, brought to you by People Matters in association with Allied Solutions. I'm Yasmin Tat, Senior Editor with People Matters, and I will be your host for this conversation today. It is my privilege to bring to you some of the key findings from Asia Pacific's largest study on the state of HR transformation conducted by Allied Solutions in partnership with People Matters, and talking to leading CHROs on what adaptable means to them in today's context. For all uncertainty and ambiguity about the future, one thing is clear. The future is for the adaptable, and for HR in particular, it is about helping organizations navigate the ever-changing business and operating environment. The third edition of this study focuses on this very theme, adaptable HR, as talent and the community at large face an unprecedented situation triggered by the COVID-19 crisis. Being adaptable is no longer a choice. It is an imperative and it is the inevitable. The report provides guidance and frameworks to think through this opportunity, and these conversations bring us the opportunity to hear from the top CHROs in the region on what adaptable means to them and how they are accelerating this journey. And for this episode, it is indeed a pleasure to welcome Sanjay Dutt, Global Head, Capability Development and Business HR Lead at EXL, and Shashwat Kumar, Vice President and Asia Head, Advisory, Payroll and Cloud at Allied Solutions. As I welcome them, let me also share a quick brief about them. Sanjay has been associated with EXL for more than 9 years now. He leads the capability development globally, including functional, domain, and leadership capabilities and academies. He also leads the business HR for selected verticals and helps enable HR and recruitment smoothly in the organization. It is a pleasure to welcome you, Sanjay. Thank you so much for joining us today. Great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great. Looking forward, Sanjay. Shashwat has been an advisor to numerous Fortune 500 corporations on their HR service delivery transformation, shared services, offshoring, and change management initiatives. In his previous role, he led the APAC HR transformation practice at Aon Hewitt for a decade and contributed immensely to developments of toolkits and methodologies with the delivery of cutting-edge solutions for clients, and in many ways led the creation of HR transformation as a practice. Thank you for joining us, Shashwat.
Yeah, thanks. Look forward to this discussion. I'm sure Sanjay, as usual, will have wisdom nuggets.
Absolutely. We are looking forward to that as well. So in today's conversation, we have requested Shashwat to share a briefing session on the Allied State of HR Transformation Study 2020, and at the same time, bring the practical business insights from Sanjay's experience in this session. So let's begin and deep dive into Asia Pacific's largest study on HR transformation. Over to you, Shashwat.
What I will do, Sanjay, is I will briefly explain the whole context of adaptability and why we configure it the way we did it, and how the data got validated. And then we'll look forward to the areas you want to delve deeper into. But before I get into, I don't need to kind of explain to you why Allied, how Allied connects to HR transformation space. Fundamentally, this is who we are. We are a global boutique, which is a large enterprise firm focused on HR transformation in many ways. Now coming to the research finding itself, and if you look at the current situation and what HR has done, at least in our limited understanding and the work we do with multiple clients across the region, we firmly believe HR has gained respect over the last 3-4 months. And this has happened because leaders like you have been focused on enabling businesses to continue operations. HR leaders have been focused on understanding employee sentiments, taking care of their well-being. HR has collaborated extremely well within HR, with business, and with outside stakeholders, whether it's industry community, larger stakeholder groups, and so on. And while all that was happening, HR was in many ways agile, taking feedback, calibrating solution, taking feedback, recalibrating things, and so on. So this is what agile at core or adaptable function will look like. Now the question is this amplification just a point in time issue, or it will remain as a demand? And that's where we go back to. And Sanjay, you have seen this framework in past. And we have been at it for some time that fundamentally HR needs to become outcome focused because the business demands are evolving. Org and job changes are gaining pace. And talent as aspirations and experience is also becoming not only both demanding, it's also becoming different. So if you combine these three vectors, and if they are changing constantly, HR needs to be addressing to this change in environment all the time. And that's where the need for construct or the DNA of being adaptable in HR. Simply put, it's the ability to sense and adjust to new conditions all the time. So as we started framing it, Sanjay, we started looking back to many of the things which we have believed for forever. But now, as we looked at data, we started getting into some conviction. The first big thing was, as organizations look at what's needed from HR, first one is obviously talent outcomes, which are important to business. But we said it's not just the outcome, it's the combined commitment of business and HR leaders to that outcome. And the moment you say it's a combined commitment, it's also something which is shifting. So if business is taking a directional shift and is committed to an outcome which is no more valid, is as much a prerogative of the business leader to revisit that and adjust that. So essentially, there should be a shared belief of what's the outcome needed and how HR delivers value to business and defines that. And that should be shared between business and HR. And that's why this terminology. Similarly, adoption at heart is not program success. It's actually breaking the program lens and saying what will drive adoption. It's a combination of experience, combination of enabling outcomes which was needed by business, and not thinking program but thinking outside it. And then we'll talk later on about experience. But fundamentally, when you put adoption at heart, you are also putting your stake on the ground that everything is a journey, because then no program is itself done, because you will be looking at constant ways of improving adoption. Similarly, when you go to the third anchor, we did not call it people analytics, but we said that it's not people analytics, it's navigating to the future. We have always talked about people analytics being the GPS to talent strategy, but now it's very clear that that's the only analytics which matters. Is the analytics which can help HR understand how HR is doing vis-a-vis the outcomes needed, or if there is a need to readjust those outcomes, is really an analytics which kind of pushes the journey forward. And among all these three outcomes, navigating to the future is partly an expectation from organization, and at its core, it's also a way in which you need to start changing your way of working. Coming to way of working, in our whole construct, there are three other highlighted words: design, experience, and governance. We call it discipline changes. So the way you do design has to move away from programs to outcome lens. What it means is that silo-based design will not work. And I think time has come in many ways for HR to say all design has to be cross-functional. Even if it's performance system being looked at it, it cannot be the decision of the leader who drives performance, but it has to include recruitment, it has to include learning, it has to include compensation, and many of them with equal stake in that decision. So I'm just giving this as an example. Similarly, the moment you say experience is a discipline which you will get in, by definition, experience as a discipline will mean multiple changes, comfort with data, comfort with taking feedback and improving things, and so on. And finally, when we talk about governance, different from compliance, this is habit of HR constantly talking to business, getting those insights in, and then driving a truly outside in HR where you are responding to that. And we'll talk more about it later, but firms who do it very well literally run a monthly cadence of getting that insight in, making changes, looking at data again back, reporting it next month. You can call it agile, you can call it whichever way you can define that word. But reality is firms have been doing this for over decades, many of the firms. And then that's critical to driving change. So Sanjay, that's the thinking behind why we call it adaptable HR and this construct. Now the question was, is it really making a real difference? And that's where combination. So we have even last couple of study iterations and you participated in those. We always said that digital divide is a combination of technology and operating model working together. And this data holds true. Even if you look at the three anchors of adaptability and look at the confidence there, this data holds up. And it holds up both on confidence and you see also the swing on the efficiencies. The thing for us which is interesting is while the pattern was similar, when we looked at a sub-segment of clients, which is respondents, which is clients who are not only have covered the digital divide, but are also extremely satisfied with technology. And Sanjay, this we arrived at this construct because we thought today when you are on cloud, on its own you will never be satisfied because cloud platforms by nature have a limitation. So for you to get maximum value out of that and then to influence their roadmap, benefit from their roadmap, it's more of a ongoing collaboration, and only then you will be satisfied with technology. So that's where we said look at that and let's see what the swing happens. And this was the biggest aha moment for us. Not only everything swung away and you had a big jump on this confidence, you also had fairly decent jump on efficiencies, but the biggest swing for us was really the pattern changed and navigating to the future became a like literally a strength area. And if you look at more data in the report, what it means, these are the organizations, if you look at just one discipline where they score even better and unpack navigating to the future, it's the ongoing governance between HR and business to identify the problems they need to solve for and outcomes they need to deliver. These organizations are ahead of everyone else. And this literally is pulling these organizations forward. And as you unpack this story more, this starts really playing out into where these firms focus. As you get your digital divide and you kind of cover that, you actually free up your bandwidth to start focusing on matters which are more important, whether it's around cultural alignment, pace of business innovation, enabling that, critical roles, employee experience versus engagement. Also, these organizations tend to do well with HR disruptions and keeping enabling pace on that. It's not surprising. These are the organizations who also tend to do well with newer technologies in HR because you have both operations and technology ready. You have discipline of execution and collaboration. What it does in combination for you, you can pick up newer tools and deploy it with success. So they are pulling ahead on both vectors of strategic impact and also on efficiencies. Now, the final one input from my side, Sanjay, is that if you look at their own take of how ready they are to address any future risk, even there, these companies score high. And if I look at the firms who are outliers on, which is really the firms who were also satisfied on their technology, they tend to score even more. And to us, this was the biggest need from an HR transformation perspective. And Sanjay, you have always believed in that, is that HR transformation on its own has no value. HR transformation has a value because you can accelerate business and enable many other business transformations which are on. And in many ways, this construct lives up to that. And when you look at data, this is what needs to be enabled. So that became really the biggest aha moment for us. I will take a pause here. Now, a specific area, Sanjay, will want us to get into comments, and then accordingly we can change the sequence.